Well, here's our John Deere 310C backhoe. Well, this is great grandpa here, and the backhoe has a bad starter, and so we were debating if we could get the bucket up in, also charged, train there. So each one of these batteries I forgot to delete some of the video, or some of the audio. Anyhow, we were debating if we could get it started one more time and could raise the bucket if that arm you see below me right there would be out of the way and we'd have more room. So anyhow, I heated this thing up with heat lamps and other stuff for 2 weeks, ran it, and got it up to stay there. Part of it was 121, part of it was 102 degrees. So there's plenty of heat in the block, and with less absorption of the compression heat, we thought it might start one more time if there's enough stuff in the starter for just one more time. Then raise the bucket, put some blocks under the thing, some 4x4s or 4x6s or a railroad tie or something, and keep it from coming down, and then block the cylinders like you do with when you put metal on the chrome, and then some C-clamps around it. And there's some heaters on that. But anyhow, this was 2 weeks of heat, and then I've got four batteries, 4 big batteries. You're going to hook them in parallel, of course, and have plenty of amperage. And then if it did start, we'd go from there, and if it didn't, I would work it the way you just would. You just go ahead and do it. But my neighbor Phil, he's an old-time mechanic, and he didn't think I ought to try to raise it because he's afraid he'd come down and kill me. And I've blocked this kind of stuff up before on dozers, so I pretty well would be able to do that if I could get it started. But so I charged the batteries with solar chargers for 3 weeks, and heated it for 2 weeks. And you can see the heat lamp, what it's reading on the thing. So it had plenty of heat, and we'll see what it does here in a little while. But I was pretty confident that we could get it started. That would have one thing left with it. But we got four of those big batteries like that, 2 which are in the compartment. It's got 2 batteries to start it with, and then 2 on the outside with the 1/aught welding cables, which I made into jumpers. So there's plenty of amperage there. These batteries are all fairly new. Those 2 there are brand new. They were new this summer. Those 2 in it, and then the other 2. Well, actually, they're all four bought this year. And then I had the tarps over it to hold the heat in. It actually worked, as you could see. And these solar chargers are really nice. They will keep something up pretty nice. Those was about $40, and they've got the charger thing on them and everything. But they're pretty nice. But there's literally no room in this engine. You cannot see the bolts at the back of the starter or anything. And it's about as tight a one and as awkward a one as I've ever encountered. So here we're going to go. Everything's on. Here we go. Yeah, that's the starter.
Oh.
It ain't gonna hurt to put a little.
No.
I don't think it's gonna do anything. So anyway, that's Phil. He's my neighbor. I think he was born with a crescent wrench in his hand. He can fix about anything. He's kind of big, but he's sharp and he's smart. And but you can see the bucket there. And I was going to put some railroad ties on it, and then put some angle iron on the cylinders. I got some 1.5 inch angle iron, 1/4 inch thick. And we used to use that on dozer buckets, which this is roughly, it might not be as heavy as some, but it's heavy. But there's the starter. That's some more noise that I did not get out, didn't mute for some reason. There's another train there. Now it's off. So anyway, we're gonna do it like it had. I've got a sewer cam, which is right there. You can see it pointing down. We took the cover off the solenoid. That helped a little. And then the sewer cam is pointing right down, and you will see the top bolt. This starter only has 2 bolts, and there's the bolt, which is on a stud on the top one. And on it, I was able to get a wrench. Now that is the total, I guess you'd say, distance that you can turn that wrench. That right there is a 15/16, and the nut was not extremely tight, but as we went out farther, it got tighter for all the grit being in the threads. And in actuality, that the round part would be aimed at your left knee, and the open end part would be aimed at your that would be aimed at your right knee, the round part, and the open end would be aimed at your left shoulder when you're in there, and you can't see that at all. It's flat hidden. And so anyway, this is sped up, and it took a long time to get that off, and a long time, several hours for me anyway. I could do it now a lot quicker. I know I could. That first time out, like my neighbor, he got a body shop, old Jason. He said first window he put in a truck door was 8 hours, and now he could do one in about 10 minutes. So this would be about the same, but it's still tight. And that is a metric also, which I didn't realize. Now that wrench there is on the bottom bolt. The bottom one is a bolt, and that wrench is on the bolt. And I couldn't move it, so I'm gonna break it with a breaker with a punch here. I'm gonna knock it down and break it loose, because you did. I wasn't strong enough to put much pressure on it, and this worked really good. It broke it loose, and they had not a lock washer on it. So once I got it to there, it was actually okay. And here I'm finally getting the starter out after about a day of fooling with it. Sucker is heavy, I'll tell you. It is heavy. And I just turned 81 in August. So 30 years ago it wouldn't have been so heavy, but when you get over 80, you start getting a little bit weaker. There it is. The old girl came out. But you can see it there. Now the new one, now it really did help to take that case off. I didn't think it'd matter, but Phil suggested I take it off, that outer solenoid case. So anyway, here's the inside, and the bottom is a bolt, and the top is a stud, and they're roughly they're a millimeter. They're roughly a half inch maybe, but no, they're not that big. But they are a number 5, so they're pretty tough. The flywheel looks good though, as you can see. So anyhow, here I'm putting some foam down to try to raise the starter a little bit, the one that's going to go in it, because it's not quite as big as the one that came out, but it's just right at as heavy. Sucker's heavy, and as you'll see later, the solenoid actually is longer or sticks farther back because a couple of wires would not reach, and I had to redo them. But there it's going in. But I was a mechanic for General Motors in the car plants. Worked on if it was on wheels, it was my job to keep it running. If it was bolted down to the floor, it was the electricians, millwrights, welders. It was their job. But if it rolled, it was ours as the mechanics, and if it did not roll, it was not ours. So anything that rolled was ours. We had bicycles, meter maid scooters, street cleaners. Usually have about 100 to 125 forklifts, but they were mainly electric, battery powered. They'd have a battery about 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot, huge things. So anyway, we got the starter on the stud there, and it's in the hole. It's on the stud, and now I'm working this off of the sewer cam. Now this right here I'm not, because I had to have my back turned to get this on. So I did not have the sewer cam when I was putting the nut and the lock washer on, because I couldn't, you're doing too much wiggling, you can't hold it in place. So, but, and that's so noisy. You also want to chase the threads with a die. You want to wipe that thing off and chase the threads with a die. I did it about 10 times, and I happened to have a metric set. That's how I discovered that it wasn't a standard bolt. But you take it. I'm using 2 fingers and trying to get the nut on the top of the threads and kind of drop it down. And I don't know how I got it on there. I don't know how. I'm still amazed. I guess I could do it again if I had to, but I wouldn't want to. And I never did drop it on the ground, believe it or not. I had a box underneath it in case I did, but there's the nut, and it is almost exactly a 14 millimeter. The nut is. I guess it is exactly a 14 millimeter. I don't know 14 by what on the threads, but the 14 millimeter fit it. And there I'm trying to roll it and just to get it started in on that thread. I knew if I get started on the thread, if I could do that, I could do about anything within there. It's start to roll it, hold it with one finger and kind of roll it with the other finger. And if you drop it, you got a box under it so you can start over, because it should drop all the way to the ground. There, so now I'm rolling. You want to roll it as far as you can, because it will. You got to do it with a wrench if you don't, and you get a lot farther with your fingers than you do with a wrench. I'll tell you that. So, what do we do? Let's see. I think somehow or another, when I was fooling with it, it's there. It started over again on the nut. And I did not do this on purpose, but you do get to see it go on twice, at least. So, but you don't want to lose that, and that nut should fit, or the bolt on the bottom should fit that nut. And that way you know they're the same, because that's how I discovered they were both metric. Because this thing was, this is a 310C built between, I think, 85 and 90, in there somewhere 40 years ago, and I was surprised that it was metric for that far back. But it was just on the castings, I guess, like on that housing there, on those big castings. They probably did some of them in other countries or something, I don't know. But anyhow, that is a metric, just so you'll know. And the sewer cam, you can see down at the bottom, it's showing you the date, and that was 10/15 of 25. So that was this is the 20th. So it's 5 days ago. I actually got it on and prepared for it like 3 weeks. Have had every tool known to man, extensions, flex sockets, all that stuff, just to see in case we'd need it. Didn't hardly need anything except patience. But the sewer cam was a lifesaver once I started tightening that bolt. You'll see why in a little bit. It was worth that. There is your bottom bolt on the starter. The camera is not in position like it should be. When you turn that tube, it turns the camera. So that shows up, but it's actually that there would be at around, on a clock, 6:30 to 7 o'clock would where that would be. And the that nut there would be about 1 o'clock. But now you can see on the old starter, I used that boxed in wrench. On this starter, I can't. If I'd have known that, I could have ground a little bit of the starter, maybe just a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch of that ridge. There's a ridge down there. You see that ridge right behind the bolt, or behind the stud. And if I'd have ground that down maybe a 1/8 or a 1/4 inch, I could have got a box end on it. Now I was lucky because I finally tried an opened end, you'll see in a little while, and I was able to make it work. And here I had the sewer camera monitor in front of me, and I'm sitting there watching, and everything's backwards, I'll have to tell you, but I was able to know when I was close to the nut, which is right here, and you can see I can get on it and I can turn it. And there's a lock washer on it, which I thank God I put one on. But I don't know if without that monitor, since the box end worked on the old starter, I don't know how long I would have fought that, but I could tell from the monitor that the box was not going to go. See that ridge back there? That is what you'd want to grind off if you got a starter like that, even if you didn't. Because you could take off an 1/8 or a 1/4 inch. It ain't going to hurt nothing at all. But there's where we did that red wire up there would not reach that solenoid there, as you see right there. It just ain't going to go. So anyway, and I'm using tie wraps from garbage bags to tie all the wires together and then tie them out of the way. It worked really, really well. And I've always got a lot of those laying around. Now on this one, that blue wire should be on the other side, because this had a different orientation. Or anyway, it goes on the left side. And my buddy Phil, my neighbor, he spotted that. He's got better eyes than I got. He's only about 65. He's just a kid. I'm 81, so he's a lot my junior. But I was able to get in there and twist that and get a little. What I actually wound up doing was getting a little bit of solder. I got them both tinned, as they say, and there was just I couldn't see nothing back in there. But I got them both tinned, and then I put one of the big gray wing nut thingies on it, or for wire connector. You might see it up at the very left top right there, one of the big gray ones. The blue ones was a little bit too big, the red was too small, and the yellow was too small. The gray was absolutely perfect, and I had 3 or 4 of those in a jar. So I used one of those on that. And I did the 3 wires there to make sure there was enough amperage, but it turned out it wouldn't have took it. It wouldn't have needed it. So
is it really?
here we're going to try to start it.
Yeah.
That's Mama Cat at the left, and that's Phil, my neighbor, my buddy. Old time mechanic, fix anything.
Dry work. Yeah. Didn't want none anyway.
Those wires over the left tire are the cable monitor camera for the sewer cam.
That's a shut-off. Yeah. That's why it kills so quick when you turn it off. Yep, there is. Neato.
One crank will do it.
Pretty quick, I'll throw some stuff in it. Yeah. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Be safe, and thanks for watching. For this job too.